We're a few minutes early before the start of our chapter, normal chapter meeting start. But I think we'll just keep right on rolling. You folks okay with that? Keep right on going? Just in terms of some formal things, just to make you aware of emergency exits, right? I'm required to announce this all the time, just so in case there is a problem, everybody knows we got emergency exits at the corners. There's another one over here. And also, I would ask that you kindly turn off your cell phones, which is a reminder to me to do the same thing, just so we don't interrupt the evening's presenter, okay? And also for those folks that need hearing assistance, we do have a hearing loop right here. It's outlined by this blue tape on the floor here. It seems to be working pretty well, so if anybody wants to take advantage of the hearing loop system, please sit in that area. And also, I would say this to folks. I've had over the years some comments, that our AV system is not the best, and it's a little bit hard for folks to hear it in the back of the room. If that's an issue for you folks, please kindly move up to the front, okay? Don't be bashful. If you're having trouble in the back of the room hearing, please feel free, even during the presentation. If you can't hear, please feel free to move up front, okay? Okay, do we have any first-time attendees for our... Oh, excellent. Please raise your hand. Gentleman over there. Anybody else? Thank you. Welcome. Nice to have you. And how about that gear swap tonight too, right? We had a lot of stuff. Did anybody make any outstanding purchases or whatever? Anybody find any gems out there? A lot of good stuff out there, really. Stuff that's still got some useful life. Hopefully you folks had a chance to look through that.
I'm ready for your next edition.
Oh, you bought an ice axe, Jeff? Okay, good man, good man. What about, did anybody accomplish recently any new milestones? Like, do we have any new, within the past several months, any new 46ers, or folks that have completed the Finger Lakes Trail, or the Fire Tower Challenge, or the Catskill 3500? Anybody that's, or been any place interesting, exotic, like anybody been up Kilimanjaro, or Mount Everest recently, anything like that? No? Okay, you're saving that for the summer, right? Everybody's saving that for the summer. Yeah, please.
I went back on the water last week for the first time in about 8 years.
Very good, okay. Very good. Canoe back in the water. Okay, anything else anybody wants to add? Okay, we got a few business announcements to make. First off, I want to alert you folks to the fact that come September, we may be in a new venue, okay? We're under discussions with folks at RMSC. We just got to see how that goes. There's a couple issues. I don't want to bore you with the details on how that's going, but in September, just want to alert you to the fact that we may be in a new venue. So an email, a mass emailing to our chapter membership will go out. In addition, of course, a change in venue announcement would be on our website and also would be in the September Genessean. So please, I know we all get into our habits and automatically come here, right, for the second Wednesday of the month, but please look for that and let's just confirm that we are here or we may be somewhere else, okay? So we'll resolve that between now and the end of the summer, but just want to make you folks aware of that. You may not be here. And also, speaking of that, we don't have everybody's email address, okay? We rely on a database that's provided to us from ADK Lake Placid. They have a master database which gets forwarded on to us. And we've noticed that not everybody's email is in there. And so what I would urge you to do is just log into your account on ADK and double check if your email. I know some folks are sensitive about giving out their emails, but if we don't have your email, we can't include you on some of our local chapter emailings. And just because you provide your email address to the main club, you can opt out of emailings from them. Okay, you'll still get our once a month email, but you can opt out from main club mailings. I know our inboxes are all jammed up, you know, we get all kinds of emails, and some folks don't want that, but you have the ability to opt out of emailings from the main club. But it's important that we have your email address for our local chapter. So I would urge you, just go in, check your account, make sure we've got your email addresses in there, and that way we at the chapter will get it. Okay, Bill, anything you want to add with reference to that? No. Okay. Okay, we do have some folks that want to make some announcements. Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Mastro. I am the Expo Chair, and if you haven't heard, I don't know how, Expo is this Saturday, so we should all get very excited about this. My next couple of minutes are going to be interactive, so bear with me. I'd like everyone to cross their fingers, please, that the weather improves for Saturday. It is trending in the right direction. And then the other interactive thing I wanted to have people do was, please stand if you are a committee member for Expo, if you plan to volunteer this Saturday, or if you plan to lead a hike or a workshop this Saturday. Obviously, this event would not be possible without all of you, so thanks to each and every one of you for your participation, for your time, your efforts every year at this event. It is truly a very special thing that we offer to our community, and again, it wouldn't be possible without you, so thank you. The last thing I have, sorry, I did say I would be quick. There are some more flyers. It's never too late to advertise, so pick up some flyers, distribute them, and if you haven't already, like and share our Facebook event. Thank you.
I see some folks standing in the back. You know, we have extra chairs we can set up. There are some chairs up in the front and a few scattered chairs throughout. So please, if you need me, grab a chair. There's racks of chairs in the back there, okay? Jim, you have an announcement?
So hi, I'm Jim Miller. If anybody really wants to know like what goes on behind the scene for ADK, for a chapter, we're recruiting some new people to help run the executive committee. There's a couple of positions, sort of an at-large kind of position, somebody just going to get a feel on what's going on and participate in organizing things. And if you're interested in maybe someday being in the honor society, this would be your venture in to sort of join the ED. And so if anybody's interested, you can contact me. I'm the Trails co-chair, so you can find my email on the website under the Trails. Thanks.
Anybody else? Jackson? I know you don't want the microphone. You're all here?
Yes.
Hey, Jackson!
Oh, you guys are in good form. Listen, if you ordered the Wilderness First Aid Guide at the bookstore last month, I have received your copy. And for the princely sum of $10, you may obtain this from me after tonight's program over at the bookstore. If you would like to order one of these, whether you're a hiker or a paddler or whether you just go out for nice sunny walks and you'd like to feel a little safer, this is your ticket to feeling safe. So for $10, see me at the end of tonight's program, and I'll place an order, and then I'll arrange with you to make a delivery sometime in early July, wherever you would like me to make the delivery. Thank you very much.
Okay, I would now like to ask our program's chairperson, Katie Kuzik, to come up. She's going to introduce my friend and our presenter for the evening.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Tonight, our presenter is Luke Nelson. Luke Nelson spent 16 days in Patagonia earlier this year hiking the Oak. He clocked over 110 miles, traversing mountains, glaciers, and suspension bridges in Torres del Paine. I got the pronunciation a couple minutes ago. National Park, encountering all kinds of wildlife along the way. Luke has been a member of our chapter for how many years? 10 years, and is also a past chair. Luke is also the person who roped me and Jim Miller, the Trails co-chair, into the ADK chapter. So I believe Luke is using PowerPoint for his presentation tonight, but don't be surprised if he brings out a spreadsheet documenting his mileage and elevation gain. Speaking of which, here's a few fun facts about Luke's adventures over the years. He averages over 500 miles of hiking with 90,000 feet of elevation gain each year. He's an ADK 46er. He's a member of the Catskills 3500 High Peak Club. He's backpacked the Cranberry Lake 50. He's completed 88 of the Northeast 115, including 28 of the New Hampshire 48. And he's hiked in multiple national parks. So, pretty impressive. So please welcome my good friend, Luke Nelson.
Hey, let me just bring some stuff here. First of all, thanks everybody for showing up tonight.
Hopefully you can hear me now. I'll go through a number of slides and then go through some pictures. Hopefully I'll answer most of your questions. If you can leave your questions to the end, I appreciate that. I don't want to stand in someone's way here. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go through, it was a 19-day trip, but I can't go through all 19 days. I'm going to go through the highlights, which was a day where we reached the penguin. We went to see the penguins, and then the 8-day trek on the O-Route, and then we did some day hikes to Cerro Torre and Fitz Roy, and to the Petit Merino Glacier, okay? I'll walk you through most of the slides and see some pictures, okay? I'll also show some videos because some of the things that we did, you get a much better experience looking and hearing the videos and the wind and things like that. So hopefully I'll take you on this journey and be able to answer your questions. And again, if you can lead those to the end, we'd appreciate it. Okay, so where's Patagonia? That's one of the questions I get the most. So let's see if I can explain that. So it's in South America. Sorry. So when we flew down, this is actually, there's blue circles on Puerto Reynolds where we flew into. Almost all the time we spent was right there, right in that area for Torres to Paine Park. Over here, it's in Chile and Argentina. This light brown, long strip is Chile. This dark brown country, Argentina, if you see the dots within the southern parts of both those countries, that's Patagonia. It's an area, it's not a state, it's part of those two countries. So hopefully that explains at least where it is. Okay, so Patagonia is a vast geographical area. It includes all kinds of things.
Louder.
Okay, let me do this from over here, it'll be easier. Okay, so it's known for many different things, the mountains, the glaciers, the fjords, the lakes, steps. There's a lot of different parts of it. It's pretty dry where we are, but there's wetter portions up north. It is very sparsely populated. There's no major cities in Patagonia. It's famous for its wind. I'm sure you've heard about that, and you'll see and hear that later on. If you do travel there, it's recommended to do so during their summer, which is the opposite of ours, so it's December through February. Even then, you got to be prepared for all kinds of extreme weather, and so we had to bring a lot of extra hats, gloves, wind protection, rain protection, things like that. So how did it come about?
For me, it was a lifelong bucket list item. I contacted Rick French of Pack Paddle Ski almost 2 years prior to the trip, asked him if he'd be interested. He was interested right away, but he made it clear that it would be a lot of planning and logistics, and it couldn't be any more than 4 people. So he said to do it right, it would take 19 days. At first when he said that, I kind of, to use my friend Jim's expression, I kind of gulped, because I mean, I would have to take off that much time from work, especially that early in the year, but I was able to work it out. So we had several phone and Zoom calls for the planning, and then I found 3 friends that were interested and could commit to the trip and to the dates. And then we had a series of Zoom calls with the attendees to be able to lock that in. Okay, so pre-trip planning, it was very hard to pack for because we didn't really know what to expect, especially on the O-route. We did know that we had to pack for all kinds of weather, especially wind, but also Rick made it very clear we had to very good rain gear, so rain jacket, rain pants. I also brought a poncho that I used. Everyone brought a bigger backpack and a duffel bag, and we'd leave the duffel bag back in town when we do either treks or hikes. From a vaccine perspective, I had gotten several vaccines when I went to Peru last September. The only one I had to get in addition was the second part of my Hep A. There was no altitude medicine required. We weren't going to be that high. And I talked to my friend Jeff into flying out of Miami, which actually saved us money and avoided a trip. So we flew from Miami to Santiago and Santiago to Punta Arenas. So who went? We've got a couple of people in attendance that went on this trip, so if you could stand up, please. Okay, so here's Jeff, right here. Rick and Jaba over here, and Paul on the far right. The one who couldn't make it is my friend Aaron. So most of them are in attendance tonight, so thanks for coming. One of the questions I get a lot was what was in our backpacks. It was like a backpack, but at the same time, we didn't have to carry tents, which was a big relief, and we didn't carry dinners. We did have sleeping bags, sleeping pads, all kinds of devices and cords. We did carry food for breakfast and snacks and lunch, and we spread that amongst the group. The dinners we purchased at the campgrounds, I'll walk through more of that later on. All the clothing, and we had to have a lot of layers because of the weather. You'll see in a lot of the pictures, pay attention to what people have on because with the wind and everything, it could get pretty cold. Rain and wind gear, like I talked. The water and water treatment, several of us brought our SteriPens, and we didn't have to use them that much, but they were helpful. And any of your bathroom essentials, medications, and first aid. I didn't bring a lot of first aid because I know Rick and Jaba would have a lot of that. My pack was around 30 pounds. Some were more, right here. Some were less. And all of us received a shakedown from Rick prior to the O-route. And Rick had told us he was going to do this. I'm not sure any of us really believed he was going to, but he did. And it was pretty funny because we laid all our stuff out. I think he was more concerned that we forgot things that we brought, but we took some. But it was pretty funny. But they did that, and it all turned out good. Okay. I promised Katie I would put a spreadsheet in here. So let me walk you through a few things on here. So colors actually mean something. So it was actually 19 days, okay? And the red indicates the days that we were in Chile. The light blue is the days we were in Argentina. So we were mostly in Chile during that time. The O route, which is days 1 through 8, We did a lot of traveling and moving around, because you can see where we'd start the day, where we'd end the day, and there was a lot of moving around. So this talk focuses on the Penguin Tour, then the O route, then Cerro Torre, then Fitz Roy, and then the Glacier. All these required some traveling back and forth to those places. But the other thing I want to point out is the days I don't include in here are almost all travel days. You know, some of these days in between were literally all day traveling, or renting a car and driving like crazy. So they were fun days too. Okay, so the Penguin Day, which was a lot of fun, we took from Punta Arenas, we went out on a boat to the Isle Magellanic to walk amongst the Magellanic Penguins. And then we took a boat ride by Al Marta to view the sea lions and the penguins. I'll show you pictures of those. This is the sign for the national monument there, Los Pingüinos. Okay. Here's the, see if I can walk you through some things here. So if you can tell this blue purplish route here, okay, we went counterclockwise. So we did this O route. That's what that is. The green line is what they call the W route. They get a lot more people on that. We started here at the Welcome Center. We went up to Ciron as the camp number 1, then to Dixon, camp number 2, to Los Perros, camp number 3. Day 4, we knew it was going to be really, really big. We hiked up to John Garter Pass, and then we started going down and down and down and down, okay, to Camp Grey. And then from Camp Grey, we went to Paine, okay, and up here, so the glaciers, glaciers up here, some avalanches up here, which I've got some videos of, and then down to Francis, and Francis all the way to Chueno. That was a long, hot day. And then the next day we hiked up to see the granite towers up here, and then the last day we went back out to the Welcome Center. So that's the O route. Rick told us when we got to the W route area, we see a lot more people, and that was very true, because they come in on boats and different things, catamarans. So we'd see a lot more people at the campgrounds in that area. Okay, the different lodgings that we were in, there's 3 types. We would stay either in refugios, or like dorms, or tents, or elevated tents. I'll show you pictures of those elevated tents because they were pretty cool. Each lodging situation was unique in terms of the setting of it. Bathrooms, we had showers every day, which was a nice surprise. Each would have a camp store, some bigger than others. And the food options, there wasn't a lot of options typically, but they were fine for what we were doing. So a couple of nights you can see with the chart down below, we stayed in elevated tents, some nights in refugio, and one night in tents. Now, we have been asked a lot why the elevated tents, and I talked to Rick, and I agree with what he said, which is pretty much this, that some of these were on a really, really steep incline, and to try and make flat areas would have really been a strong ecological impact, so we didn't want to do that. Also, they're very cool. And so that worked out real good, because some of the terrains that we stayed in the elevated tents were too steep to do anything else with. And we don't think those were due to wildlife. Okay, so day 1, this is the walk to Ciron. At the bottom right is the Welcome Center, which was nice. Inside there was some food and beverages, things like that, snacks, but there was also a registration desk where we could get maps and things like that. That's where we started from, okay? And on the left is just the first sign, since we were going to the right, counterclockwise, we were going to Ciron, okay? So day 2, this is from Ciron to Dixon. We had stayed in elevated tents at Ciron and Dixon. We were in Refugio. So the dinner choices in some of these places would be either a pizza and a beer or a hamburger and a beer. So we had a lot of choices there. But when you're out on the trail, anything tastes good, so that was okay. We're starting to get views of glaciers and mountains, which was really, really cool. Day 3, okay. Seeing a lot of glaciers now. This is the one night we stayed in tents. We kept hearing about how tough day 4 was going to be. On the bottom right, you can see the pack horses that come in to supply the campground area, maybe the camp store and some of the food. On the left there, kind of hard to see, this just says capacity 1. So we'll make sure we only had one of those on there. I think that's air. So we heated that. Okay, day 4. I think that's Jeff. I can tell by the orange shirt and the green backpack cover. So it was definitely the hardest day in terms of elevation gain and specifically elevation loss. I'll show you a profile of that later. So we hiked up to John Garter Pass and then down to Grey Glacier. Like I said, big gain, but bigger loss. There were several of these single-person suspension bridges. Not everybody liked them as much as I did, except maybe Jama. I think she liked them too. And we stayed in Refugio that night. I'll show you pictures from that day. I really like these signs. I saw several of them. They were very blunt and candid. I almost wish I'd see these in some of our parks. One of the ones I liked the most was the bottom right, music with no speakers. I definitely wish we had that one. It was probably the easiest day, which was good because day 4 was so difficult. I think everybody was a little tired. But it was an extremely windy day. There were some viewpoints that we'd go up to, and it was so windy that if you didn't take your backpack off, you could literally become a kite. And I kind of learned that the hard way. Day 6, going to Francis. So this, I consider this like avalanche day. And this is roughly the area where we saw most of the avalanches. I'll show you some of those. Great scenery along the way. Another night of elevated tents. Day 7, the longest day. We did see a condor. I got a crappy picture of one I'll show you later. Very hot day though. I had to at one point stop and pour water over my head. Luckily, more suspension bridges. And again, we stayed in the elevated tents. So the last day, Chileno to the towers. So these towers here, you're going to constantly see these in the pictures, okay? They're very, very photogenic. It was the picture on the beginning of the slideshow itself. So we hiked up to this lake. I'll show you pictures of that. They're called the Granite Towers. Towards the end of the day, we saw cougars, and I had been talking about cougars the entire time, so it was nice to finally see them. Everybody's pretty tired at that point. So I did record the entire route on all trails. I didn't record individual days. I recorded as a continuous loop, which means I had to pause it at the end of every day, start it the next day, pause it, start it. The fact that I remembered to do that for 8 days is a miracle. But as you can see, we got over 82 miles of mileage and almost 18,000 feet of elevation gain, so there was a lot of up and down. If you take a look at, this is a better look at the profile. So mainly what I wanted to point out was day 4, we started in Los Perros, went up to John Garter Pass, and hiked all the way down here. And it felt like we were going down for a very long time, and they weren't the easiest trails. So that gives a better job of the elevation profile. Okay, another sign that I liked a lot if you can't read it, in the bottom it says, "You are now entering a wilderness area in which your personal health is at the disposal of the natural forces." I like those signs. We hiked up to an amazing area, to see Cerro Torre, Egger, and a bunch of other peaks. They were clouded in. They did start to clear up as we were leaving. You'll see that. Lots of glaciers, incredible wind. I'll show you a video where you'll get a really good idea of the wind. Rick gave us a good advice to go to the Climbers Chapel. I'll show you pictures of that and explain it. It'll make more sense then. So that was a 13-mile day. Not too much elevation gain. Okay, we'll go down to Los Torres and Fitz Roy. So this was a long hike, but the scenery up here, for a lot of it, was much clearer. Really beautiful mountain lakes up there. We stopped at the Poinsonneau campground to have lunch, which was nice. And the glaciers up here were everywhere. Okay, the wind was again very, very strong. A lot of mileage, a lot of elevation gain on that day. Okay, so the last, I guess, big day was to go to Petit Merino Glacier. On the ride there, we saw guanacos and rheas. Rheas are kind of like ostriches, but a little smaller. We witnessed live glacier calving, which I hadn't seen before, so that was very cool. You'll notice on some of the videos, Rick provides color to those, and you'll see and hear that. We had a great dinner that night, including some live Argentinian tango dancing, so that was a treat. Towards the end of the day, Aaron and I think we're getting ready to go to dinner, and we're going to take like a 10-minute nap. And we're hearing a cat outside our window, thinking nothing of it. Right as we closed our eyes, a cat jumped through the window onto Aaron's bed. Aaron jumped up and said, "What is that?" So that was pretty funny. Oh, I know what I'm going to point out too is these things here, these are walkways that go in front of the glacier where I took a lot of the pictures and videos from. So you go down like almost at the level of the glacier to be able to see these things. It's a pretty amazing setup. Okay, people ask me what kind of wildlife did we see. Some of these are birds, cool birds, but those are the other things we saw, and I think I've got pictures of just about everything as I go through. Okay, let's jump to pictures. All right, so I think you know where we are. This is probably, my guess is a mama feeding a youngster. That's probably what's going on there. And just to give some more settings, so we take the boat ride out there, you get off, and very quickly you're walking amongst thousands of penguins. And that was a pretty cool experience. And it's really windy, but you know, they don't care that you're there. They're walking right by you. Okay. Okay, we pause this. So there's a lot going on in this. Let me make a couple comments first. These penguins, they burrow in and make their homes inside the ground. So that's what that hole is you see right there. In this video, they love to yell. I'm sure they're a form of communication to family members or something. Keep an eye on this penguin here. Watch what, I'm assuming she, but it might not be, does, and what happens after a while. Oops. I want to make sure the sound. Should I be connected to the sound, Jerry? And the sound's not really coming in. I wish it was coming out here. What?
It's coming out behind you here, it sounds like.
Oh, the microphone with the computer speaker.
What?
The microphone. Use the microphone on the computer speaker and it will pick up the sound.
Yeah, it's not really. I think it's going to HDMI or something. That's too bad. It's not going to make that noise. I'm not going to get the sound out of it. I didn't think that'd be a problem.
Luke, is the sound coming out of your computer? No.
No, that's too bad. I don't know what the problem is, unless you were here. It'd be great if we could get the sound back for some of the videos. It's in set maps. That's the one thing I didn't test. Jerry, do you have any ideas? Some of the videos are a lot better with sound. To the Wi-Fi? Okay. What's the name of that? They make their homes in the ground. This guy was walking right in front of me carrying grass to bring inside his home in the ground. And he'll get to a part where he has to go downhill, and watch how he maneuvers it. This is, we're in a boat. We're a ways offshore this island. We didn't go on shore this island. The boat is going like this. You can't stand up. It's dipping so much. I tried to stand and you just fall down. I had a good camera with me, but it's just too much motion, too much wind. So I took this video hoping to capture some of what was going on. So when you watch this, pay attention to what's going on in the water, on shore, because there's a lot of movement going on, and you'll see birds flying back and forth. That's a picture from way back, and as you can see, there's tons of stuff going on there with penguins up in the high areas, tons of birds. It was a pretty fantastic island. Okay, so now we're getting into the O route. This is approaching the national park towards Paine. You can see the road right here going through. We haven't started the hike yet. This is really kind of taken from the car going in. There's Rick getting ready to lead us out. I walked ahead so I could take a picture of the group starting out. We're pretty excited at this point. Some horses, we thought maybe they were wild, but then figured out they probably weren't. Paul and Aaron. So we had lunch here. Rick is always very shy in front of the camera. This is an austral parakeet. They actually, at day one, the campground for Cerro, they had a nest inside of a tree. This, we think, was the dad sitting up the branch because the mom was sitting in the nest in the tree that I'll show you in a few pictures. This is Cerro. This building was where the check-in was, registration. They also served dinner in here. They had tables. You could get a beer in there. They had a small camp store behind here, was where the bathrooms were. There's Mom in the tree. There's Jeff and Aaron. Now, this is the first night in elevated tents. You can get a feel for those. These ones right here, a lot of these weren't flat, but as you went up here, it got really steep, and those you can see from more of an angle. This is inside one of the elevated tents. This was where Aaron and I stayed. Plenty of room. There's Jeff, joined the day. There was a big hill right behind us that had a view of the valley that was very nice. This is looking back towards all the elevated tents. I actually think this is the one that Aaron and I stayed in, and then Jeff, Paul were here, I think Rick and Jane were over there, so they were pretty cool. Okay, this is starting day 2 hike. So, I like to take these. Not all my friends like that I like to take these. But whenever I take these, my eyes are always on the trail right in front of me. And all I do is I walk and I do this. That's all I do. So, there's really nothing to it. But it gives people an idea what the trail's like, because it was pretty cool part of the trail. Okay, there's Jeff. Now, this is Camp 2. From Camp 2, we had pretty amazing scenery of some mountains and glaciers, which was a real treat. Some of the bees down there were used to the yellow bumblebees. Down there, some of them were orange, so that was nice. It's another picture up above Camp 2 with that background in the glacier. This is actually the refugio we stayed in right here. And over here was like the camp store and food area. This is the refugio that we stayed in. Another view of those mountains. And you can see the glacier cap up on top of this one. Now this is in, we walked through all different types of terrains. This was a really cool area. I think we might have had lunch in here. But just to give you an idea of the different kinds of environments that we were in. This was a waterfall we saw through the trees. Again, Rick, very shy here with Aaron. Nice glacier coming down. Here's Truly. Now this was a ways off in the woods. I think Jeff saw this bird fly in. I couldn't get a good picture with my good camera. This was with my iPhone from a ways away. This is a Chilean hawk. Okay, we're starting day 4. We're going up the John Garber Pass, which I think is up here. Taking a snack break. Paul, we're on top of John Garber Pass now. Okay, we accomplished that. We're going to get ready soon to go down to Grey Glacier. Rick and Jama. Now this is Grey Glacier here. It's very big, and we ended up walking along it for a long ways. There's Rick and Jama. I took this also to provide perspective of the striations in the glacier. Okay. This video here, I took deliberately to get them in the frame, but then to pan out across the glacier. You can also see the glacier where it ends right here. And what we're going to do during the course of the day is just keep hiking along that. This is just, they'll have periodic areas you can stop. We had lunch here. I think they were building a new refugio here. Not right here, but down on this area, if I remember right. This is a good shot of the end of the glacier. There's Jeff, navigating the bridge. There's Rick, navigating. Now this is right at the end of the glacier right there. Okay, so this is the first video going across the bridge. I would get better as we did these. But I had a lot of fun going over these. This is a crested caracara. On day 4, which is very long, I think Jeff and Aaron wanted to get some additional mileage at the campground. And I was by myself at this point. I'm walking up the trail, and this crested caracara is walking right towards me, but then veered left to go to another part of the trail. I think we saw these in Peru as well. Colorful bird. And I took a video of this guy walking up the other trail. So now we're, the morning of day 5, we stayed in this refugio the night before. Rick and James and Jeff figuring out where we're going to go for the day.
Yes, my pack was over 30 pounds.
Yeah. If you see anything that's really big and lime green, chances are it's Jeff. How much money did you pay, Rick, to pass that inspection? On this hike, which was probably the shortest day, easiest day, which we're all thankful for, we were walking by some lakes that are beautiful, but it was very, very windy. So if you went up to one of the viewpoints up on a ridge, you had to be very, very careful because it was so windy. If you had your backpack on, you'd become a kite. And I kind of found that out. Just a view back. We like these rock formations here. So Katie, you should show that to John Hanley. So this is the campground. Although we stayed in refugio that night, this is where people go and just sit on tables and have snacks and breakfast and stuff like that. And we stayed in the building behind me in this picture, which was this building. We had dinner up here, maybe a few beers, but we had a good night there. And this is the scenery from looking out, and we were going to be going towards that the following day. It was a pretty amazing place. It was cold. It was cold at night, so we were walking outside, but as long as you're dressed for it, you're okay. Some more scenery. I think there was a lake right there, and there was some of these birds, or I think it's a kelp gull, if I remember right. So, we're next day in the morning, Rick and James and Aaron, I think Jeff's over here, leading us out. We're going into this direction. You can see how vast it is. If you look closely, there's the big green guy, and Aaron's right down here, actually. Just for a perspective, you see how small they are. Now, my opinion is James was thinking, how the hell did I agree to go on this with 5 guys? Am I right? Okay. So, we're going up towards this area, and I was between somebody, but I heard a crack. As soon as you hear a crack up there, that's usually a sign there's an avalanche, so I immediately started taking a video, and I was next to this Japanese couple, and they were so funny because she saw me taking a video, so she kept pushing her husband away to get out of my way while I was taking the video. When this comes down, you'll see it towards the end come down and kind of splatter over this rock here. So this is where we saw a lot of them. There was, I think, one from down here, definitely from down here, and another one from over here. Some of them we caught to take some videos, some we didn't. Oh, here. They almost look like rivers. After this, we went up a valley to get to a viewpoint. This is more of the scenery there. Aaron and Jeff. Panoramic shot of that. Just some more scenery shots here. I took this because it felt like I was in a tropical climate, and it certainly was not that. There's Aaron going over a bridge. So this is the crappy shot I got of the Indian condor. These are calving berries. We did find these a lot, and we eat a lot of those. And I brought a lot of calving jam jelly home. Okay, so this day we're doing a long walk up to Chileno, going up the side of this river, up to the campground, which was going to be up here somewhere. That was a very long day. There's Paul, I think, and Rick and Jay climbing up. So we're at the Joino campground now. This thin line here, this is the O route going into the W route. And we're at Joino right now. The next day, we're going to go up here, okay, to see the towers, the Grand Towers. And then we're going to climb back down and go over to the World Center. More of the pack horses. These guys were bringing in kegs of beer. And the guys would take them off and literally throw them on the ground, which we were all kind of surprised at. We might have had a few beers there too. There's dinner. Rick, I gave somebody to take these pictures. Both shots, your eyes were closed, so sorry. Now this is early in the morning. We met, I can't remember, I think maybe it was 7 o'clock, to have breakfast in here before we hiked up. We could leave our big packs in here. There was just, it felt like hundreds of packs in there, and just take a light pack up. Now here's more of the elevated tents. We were probably back in here somewhere. Now this is early in the morning. We're going to be hiking up to this area, but the sun was starting to hit it, so it was pretty cool how it stood out. Now we're up to the Granite Towers. Very photogenic. There's Aaron and I. Now this is the group plus. This was a Chilean couple that we kept. When you do the O route, there's some people who are doing it at the same time you are, so you see them all the time. You pass them, they pass you, so you become friends with them. They were very nice, and we saw them quite a bit, so we wanted a picture with them. Just a video of the area. Now the elevated tents, typically you can hang your backpacks underneath and maybe leave out your boots and poles and things like that. Now if you think about it, it was also a challenge when you get up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you got to go to the bathroom. So you have to pay attention then, bring your lights and everything else. So on the way out the last day, we're fortunate enough to see a couple cougars. This is from a ways away. Trust me, I'm not as close as it looks. But that was definitely one of the highlights. Got a little video here. I'm sorry, Pumas. This is the next, 2 days later, we're on a different hike, going to Cerro Torre. This is the Colpeo fox that walked right in front of us. That was really beautiful. One of my favorite videos. I'm so glad I took this. It was so windy up there, and I turned around and I said, I've got to take a video so people can visualize and hear this wind. And Paul, who's my hero, Paul did this route when he was 79 years old. And he's my hero, because if I can do this stuff when I'm 79, I'll be a very happy guy. So watch when he gets to the top, the beautiful smile that Paul gives me. And there's Rick. He's ready. Just some of the blocks of ice. Look how small the people are. So this area These are some Australian people that were on the O route. We saw them all the time, really great people. This is a chapel Rick recommended we go to, which was great. It's a chapel, I think it's called the Climbers Chapel. And in the back, they had this plaque. These are all the people who have died climbing in that area going back to 1953. From all over the world. There was only one from the United States. But I'm glad Rick recommended we go there because that was very cool. Okay, so this is on the day going to the Fitz Roy area. Just show some scenery shots. We're in a different national park now. One of my favorite signs again. I like this because you saw progression of the mountains and the glaciers, and then feeding the Glacier Lake there. That's the group. We're in front of the first Glacier Lake. There's another one to the left. That's the other one there. This rock in the middle was very colorful. That helped with the shots. Keep an eye on this little waterfall right here. That's it. They kept getting clouded in. We could see them, but there's shreds of clouds that kept making it so we couldn't get the whole thing perfect. But they started to clear up. We're starting to hike out now, and of course it starts to get clear, which I like. Oops, sorry. So more crested caracaras. I took this for Katie because I couldn't identify what that cloud was. Rick and his cat. Now here's a guanaco. We saw one of those from the car. These areas. Terrible picture, but I wanted to at least people see what they were. Now we're at the glacier, Glacier. This is this walkway I was telling you about. Just some images. Now see if you can guess who's yelling in the background. I'll give you two guesses. Well, James is punching him and telling him to go away.
Look at that thing come up now. It's up around the water.
They create these little tidal waves every time they would come down. This is a memory. Okay, so a lot of the restaurants in town would have this meat out drying, smoking. We had a very good meal that night, including some Argentinian tango dancing, Kodak, everywhere you go, still. This is the last picture. I took this from the airplane on the ride home, and I like that. I think some of these were the towers, so that's one of the reasons why I took that photo. So let me just go back. See if I can just summarize. So I get asked a lot, how much did it cost? Trips like this are obviously not cheap. I talked to Jeff and Aaron. We both thought with airfare, trip costs, meals, travel insurance, everything all in, it was probably somewhere around $8,000. Despite the constant wind, we actually lucked out. We had very, very good weather. We did not get any real rain while we were hiking on any day, which was kind of a miracle. Didn't run into any major injuries or logistical problems during the hike. We did have an adventurous trip home to a power outage in Chile that affected our flight. That's a whole other story. But the trip commands I had were outstanding. Rick and Jay were great hike leaders, so that turned out very, very well. Rick did plan out a very full trip, which I was very happy for. We did a lot in those days. It exceeded my expectations, and my expectations were very high. So it just started with an idea, so it was nice to see it come to fruition. So I guess if there's a lesson, just follow your dreams. That's it. She wanted to know how late in the year do people go to Patagonia that are not climbers? Because there's obviously some climber nuts who go pretty close to year-round. We were there in February, which is towards the end of their summer. I'm sure people go there after then. Most people like us don't go in their winter, which would be our summer. One of the things I didn't mention is there's a whole culture of people who go to places like this constantly. I don't know where the hell they get the money from, but you'd meet these single people, single guys, single girls, from countries all around the world. They're fearless, and there's so much logistics they have to go through, and there's a lot of costs. And they're just looking to go from here to some other cool place. It was pretty amazing to meet these people. So, does that answer your question? Any other questions? Yes. Not everybody spoke English, but you know, a lot of Spanish, but you run into people from Germany, France. We had Paul, so we could speak French. Rick and Jane speak several languages. They're very good at Spanish. That helped a lot. So yeah, we use some Spanish. And when you're at these airports, especially small airports, and no one speaks English, and your flight's delayed, and you're trying to figure out where the hell you're going, that's tough. Hold the right arm. Get behind him.
The perspective is difficult. Like when you're looking at that big glacier, is that 4 miles long or 5? And those waterfalls are not, I'm sorry, coming down the side, you're a mile away from those, it's hard to get a perspective.
Yeah. I don't know how long the glacier was. I would guess maybe a mile. I don't know, Rick, if you have the Grey Glacier? Yeah.
No,
not the Grey. You're talking about the ones where it was calving?
well, that great one where you're standing with the way back on that.
Well, the Grey one, yeah, that's minimum several miles.
Oh, yeah, that's longer, I think, 10 miles.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the Petit Marino Glacier, the last one. Yeah, that was very, very long, because it went beyond where we could even see. Okay. Reinhardt?
Are they having an issue with receding glaciers like the rest of the world
Yes.
is experiencing?
Yes. Yeah.
And what was the temperature range that you had, low to high, just roughly?
50s, some days in the 60s, some nights in the 40s, nothing too cold. There was one day where we just happened to do the longest hike where it was very warm, but it was actually good hiking. But you always have to take into account that wind that was every day. So when we got home, one of the nice things about getting home is all of a sudden there's no wind. So that was kind of nice, but it's every day, so you have to bring that kind of protection. Any other? Yes.
Did you need any sort of traction devices?
No. I asked, that was one of the questions I asked Rick in one of our pre-meetings, should we bring in microspikes? Because you hear about people running into snow you'd have to hike through and things like that. Yeah. But no, we didn't bring any microspikes or anything else. I know Reinhardt wanted me to bring my crampons, but I left them home. All right. Any other questions?
How about ice,